We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it.
Man, I always knew Dems was the real racist. But it is official now, ladies and gentlemen. Jasmine Crockett's political career is over. This comes after she lost the Texas Senate Democrat primary yesterday to James Talarico. That is the guy from the state legislature that I've basically branded to be a Walmart version of Pete Buttigieg. I'm not exactly sure what the Democrat obsession is with these totally uninspiring, bland, ChatGPT sounding metrosexual white guys, and then they just put them up there and say, this is an effective communicator. He's a rising star. He's so inspiring. He's really not. I frankly think that Talerico is highly overrated. But I suppose when you're given two bad choices, and the other bad choice is Jasmine Crockett, then in this case, even the Democrat electorate decided they're tired of her. They're tired of listening to her loud, obnoxious voice screaming all the time. And there you have it. So we'll sort of break down these election results here today, guys. But as you could imagine, in a long pattern here of Jasmine Crockett constantly self-aggrandizing and refusing to take any accountability for anything, she, I kid you not, is currently screaming that the election was rigged and stolen from her. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But then on top of it is apparently claiming that the Republicans are the ones who tried to rig this election against Jasmine Crockett, to which I have to say is just fundamentally not true. Let me let you in on a little secret, Jasmine. We were sort of rooting for you to win this. I didn't really care either way, but objectively, you would have been the less electable candidate of the two. We were hoping that we could cast you as this public image, your insane, radical, obnoxious self to be the symbol of the Democrat Party going into 2026. And so, to be honest, I'm a little bit sad that she lost. Am I super upset over it? No, but you know, I think we're almost going to miss her a little bit. It's like the neighborhood is too quiet now, right? It's too quiet. It's too peaceful. And yeah, that's nice, but it's sort of like being retired, you know? It's like, what are we going to do now? Where's the excitement? Where's, listening to this idiot constantly embarrass herself? But anyways, guys, all of that said, let's break down these election results for you here today, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the Republican primaries and that stuff as well. Interestingly, the GOP primary in Texas will be headed to a runoff. We'll discuss that. So let's get into all of it, right? Break down results from primary night last night in America. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We greatly appreciate the support, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And that said, I think we should start by asking the question, how did this happen? Because Jasmine Crockett was leading in most of the polls. She was a way bigger piece of name recognition than Talerico ever was. But I think what you saw in the last several months is that the Democrat establishment, who has constantly been messing with Jasmine Crockett in this case, tried to coalesce around Talerico, thinking, okay, he's probably the slightly more electable candidate than this absolute fool. And it turns out it's the case that many of the white liberals who were constantly hyping her up, oh, she's so amazing, she's such a queen, such a rock star, in the end, backstabbed her, which I think is greatly summarized by this video right here. Take a listen.
Yes, we need a fighter. And I was so ready to vote for Jasmine Crockett because I love her. But I voted for Talerico because we need somebody who can win.
Yeah, so in the end, it does appear that was the calculus of much of the liberal electorate, specifically the white liberals in the state of Texas. After hyping this woman up for a long time, making her into a rising star because for whatever reason they think that's what a black woman is supposed to be or supposed to look like. She's so strong. She's a fighter because she performatively screams and does her hair and does this whole theater performance in front of everybody. But nope. In the end, they decided that they actually did not think she was all that electable, and so it sounds like a lot of these people decided in the end to vote for Talerico instead, to which I have to say, why would Jasmine Crockett not be electable? I thought she's a strong black woman. Are you trying to tell me that strong black women are incapable of winning elections in the United States of America? I don't know. Sounds a little racist and sexist to me, right? But that's the hilarious irony of it, is in the end, yes, it is really the white liberals who backstabbed Crockett. Talerico the whole time had the support of the Hispanic voters, but really it was going to come down to that question, right? How does the white electorate respond? And it turns out they kicked Crockett out of the neighborhood. Oh, really funny how that happens. And you can see, based on current election results, it does seem to be a pretty resounding victory for Talerico, right? Not all that close. 53% for Talerico to Crockett's 46%. That is a 7-point victory. That clears the 50% threshold, so this will not even require a runoff election. To make a long story short, Crockett didn't just lose, she got blown out. As the favorite, by the way. She was the favorite to win this election by the polling. Turns out, no, that was not the case. And of course, you could expect, how is she responding? Is she taking the loss graciously? Is she accepting that, maybe people just don't like her? No, she is instead, of course, accusing this election of being rigged. You can't make that up. After several years of laughing at conservatives over allegations of voter fraud, take a listen to the excuse-making that she was already beginning to engage in yesterday before the final results had even been called.
Cast their vote. We should all be standing together. Democrats, Republicans, and we should all be raising hell. But unfortunately, this was always the plan. And so I am grateful for this court order. And as Congressman Allred has already stated, we encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it. So I am asking you, I am begging you to make sure that you go ahead and figure out where it is that you are supposed to vote, stand in line, wait in line, and if it means that I got to come out there with you to wait with you, I will do that.
Yeah, already in with the excuses, right? They're cheating, it's voter suppression, and that's why I got blown out by 7 points. But what Jasmine Crockett seems to be referring to is this whole confusion situation last night in Dallas, Texas, where, by my understanding, there's a brand new Texas law and policy that when you go to vote in person, you have to vote at your assigned precinct, right? Some states you can go to any election center and cast the ballot. You have to go where you're assigned based on your address and zip code. Okay. So I guess what happened specifically with Jasmine Crockett's voters last night is that they got confused. A bunch of them showed up to the wrong precinct because I suppose they can't really read and they don't know what they're doing and they're not very smart. And so a bunch of people were like, oh, we can't vote, blah, blah, blah. And as a result of it, actually a judge in the area did Jasmine Crockett a favor and extended voting for the Democrat primary in Dallas County. This is her stronghold, right? This is where she's from, until 9 p.m. when polls are supposed to, of course, be closing at 7 p.m. Now, what I would point out about this is you notice this was not a problem in the Republican primary, right? None of the Republican voters got confused about the new rule. As a matter of fact, the judge did not extend the deadline for the Republican primary in Dallas, Texas. It was not an issue statewide. It wasn't an issue for the Talerico campaign. But I don't know if it's a big surprise to people, but I guess what you could say is that Jasmine Crockett's voters were the only people who were too dumb to figure out this election law, and so a bunch of chaos happened. But again, the judge bailed her out, bailed the voters out, did them a favor, and allowed voting to be extended. And yet still, of course, she's screaming allegations of cheating after, in her county, they let voting go for longer than everywhere else. But I'm sure that's why she lost, right?
News here on the primary election. We've just spoken with Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins, who tells us that voting is now extended until 9 p.m. for Democrats.
In Dallas County.
In Dallas County, okay. So that's the latest word from County Judge Clay Jenkins. We're getting confirmation on that, but right now it looks like voting for Democrats in Dallas County extended until 9 p.m. Republicans,
7 p.m.
The cutoff is still 7 p.m. as far as we know.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that. All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, so translation, my voters are too dumb to understand the rules that everybody else does. They did us a favor anyway and extended it because of our stupid voters, and still we lost, but it's everybody else's fault, right? It was a stolen election. But I suppose that it summarizes why Democrats oppose the SAVE Act so much, why they scream that voter ID laws are voter suppression, because this is the true nature nature of their electorate, right? We're talking about uninformed people who don't care enough or just can't read the rules. They don't know what's happening, but oh, let's all show up because some random person promised us free food if we go to vote. And that's a healthy American democracy, apparently. So, you know, it explains a lot, right? So yeah, I guess you would say, right, that laws like the SAVE Act and voter ID would be suppressing Democrat votes, because not only would it be barring potential non-citizens from voting, but on top of that, all these just totally unengaged people who decided to suddenly decide, oh, we're going to go vote today, I guess. Oh, Jasmine Crockett, don't even know who that is, but hey, you know, I guess she's the black one, so we're going to go vote for her. Yeah, these types of people would no longer be voting in the elections, and that's what it's all about. But of course, there you have that. And upon the realization that, Jasmine Crockett was going to lose this race, she last night stormed out of her own election event. She did the Hillary Clinton, right? We're not saying any more tonight. And now is accusing the Republicans of rigging the Democrat primary, which is a very interesting theory. But take a listen. These are the excuses, the copium, et cetera, et cetera.
So that's my news, is that we're not going to have election results tonight, in my opinion, based upon what specifically is taking place in Dallas County. Unfortunately, this is what Republicans like to do. And so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. So, I want you to enjoy yourselves, but I won't be back tonight because I have no idea of when we're going to get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow. So, I love y'all too. Thank you so very much for being here. Love you down. I love you down, Dallas.
Yeah, no, I don't exactly think it's the fault of Republicans. I think it's the fact that your voters simply can't read and got confused. Again, Republicans wanted you to win. Let's be real about this, okay? We were all hoping we would run against Jasmine Crockett because she's such an insane idiot that she would drive Republican voter turnout sky high in a midterm year. She was easier to beat. She would also likewise be a good national face of the Democrat Party to be running against. Hey, don't let this insane lunatic get into power. But ultimately, Jasmine, let's be honest, you failed us in this case. You failed us because you're such an idiot. You ran a completely self-aggrandizing campaign that it turns out even turned off other liberals. And this is what we're left with. So, maybe if you had spent more time campaigning to the people instead of, doing your hair and trying to launch and promote yourself, then who knows, maybe you would have defeated Talerico, right?
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her?
She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
And by the way, I'd like to reiterate, Jasmine Crockett, that you lost by 7 points, okay? If this were a 2-3 point election even, you'd have an argument. Oh, the voter suppression is what screwed you over. Even as Dallas County is still reporting its votes right now, there is absolutely no evidence that the math would be there for you either way to make a difference. The simple reality here is you just straight up lost, but, blame Republicans, blame racism, I don't know, do whatever you would like. Heck, campaign against Talerico, Jasmine? If the election was so stolen for you, then, run a write-in campaign. Why not? What do you have to lose at this point, right? Your political career is over either way. You don't have a congressional seat going forward. Now you won't have a Senate position either. So I don't know what you can run for president, I guess, in 2028. Watching you debate Gavin Newsom, yeah, that'll be a real riot to witness. But all right, there you have that. And I suppose it is now the case that instead of running against the lovely Queen Jasmine Crockett in the 2026 general election, we are stuck with this absolute rock star Talerico instead.
Is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
Yeah, God is non-binary. What a fantastic message to be running in the state of Texas, of all places, which is why I also say, between Talerico and Crockett, Talerico may come off in optics as the moderate choice, but they're fundamentally no different. Talerico's just as woke and insane as Crockett, if not arguably even crazier, right? It's just really a question of, do you want this boring ChatGPT voice to be delivering the message of insanity, or do you want the loud Jasmine Crockett voice, right? That's it at the end of the day. But what we know for now, Talerico will be the nominee for the Texas Senate. Crockett's career is over. Shifting here to look at the Republican primary, it is razor thin right now between John Cornyn, the incumbent senator, and Ken Paxton, the attorney general of Texas. Now, it's worth noting, this is an interesting race too, because Cornyn, while he is the incumbent, is really weak on the issues, right? He's what we would refer to as a rhino. Ironically, he's anti-Second Amendment and a gun grabber in the state of Texas, which is a little bit strange of a stance to be had there. So, you know, some could say he's more electable, but worse on the issues. As for Ken Paxton, here you have a guy who's very solid, right? He's very MAGA. He was a popular attorney general, but they tried to impeach him and all this stuff. And so some might try to bring up, oh, he's too radical, or the scandals are going to hurt him. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that the Democrats will try to weaponize those scandals, but I still think at the end of the day, folks, this is Texas, which is not a message of complacency. Okay, we have to fight. We have to make sure that Talerico has no chance of making it even close, right? You don't want to get in that situation. But what I would point out is, sure, you can paint him as a new Beto O'Rourke or Stacey Abrams or one of these Democrat rising stars out of a red state, but how did those ultimately end for them, right? Sure, Beto came close in 2018, almost beat Ted Cruz. He's been completely irrelevant and washed up ever since. Same situation is true for Stacey Abrams. And I would further point out that this is not even the same Texas of 2018. You may remember those conversations at the end of the 2010s. So Texas is turning more purple. Will Democrats start to win the state? And then in the 2020s, it shifted. No, Texas has become more Republican over the past couple of years. The so-called blue Texas appears to have been a mirage. And so while we still have to protect that, I will say, okay, all the hype behind Talerico, in my opinion, is highly overrated. He may put up a decent performance because it's a midterm year. The Democrats are energized. They're going to put a lot of money behind him. But ultimately, at the end of the day, assuming the Republican electorate is not complacent, I think we will be able to render both these idiots, both Talerico and Crockett, irrelevant and their careers over. And so let's get the job done right and make sure that happens. But there you have that, guys. That said, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.